Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us on this fine Thursday in America. There's so much to talk about. The Republican Party's under attack by the RINOs relentlessly, consistently. Today, President Trump forced to pull the nomination of D.C. U.S. Attorney Ed Martin because of one particular RINO senator who happens to be up for re-election in 2026. Our guest today, we have a very special guest. He's the founder and president of the RINO Removal Project. His organization's focused on getting rid of RINOs, these people who are ruining the Republican Party, absolute destruction to the Republican Party. We're going to get to all of that. First, I want to get to some news of the day. It only took a few short weeks, but we finally have a new Pope of the Catholic Church. Pope Leo the 14th is what he's going to go by. From Chicago, Illinois, spent a lot of time down in Peru, teaching down there, went to Villanova University. So an American Pope, the first in the history of the Catholic Church. So it's nice to see. We're not going to get too political on him yet. There are some interesting videos of him out there, some interesting retweets out there of him retweeting some pro-immigration, anti-J.D. Vance, anti-Trump stuff. The interesting thing is he's a registered Republican in Illinois, votes in every election for the past 20 years that he was in America. Spent a lot of time out of the country, as I said, in Peru, but the better part of his adult life was spent here in America. We have a clip to show you of Mr. Prevost, Robert Prevost. Let's roll that.
And as Pope Francis has reminded us many times, a bishop is called to serve. His authority is service. And so to look for different ways in which a bishop can serve in any given society, in any given church, I think is very important. The bishop is not supposed to be a little prince sitting in his kingdom, but rather called authentically to be humble, to be close to the people he serves, to walk with them, to suffer with them, and to look for ways that he can better live the gospel message in the midst of his people.
Wise words of wisdom for the new Pope. We wish him all the best. And we pray to God. The Catholic Church is on the precipice right now. It's sort of like a seesaw, and it can go either way. They've decided over the course of the last few years they wanted to be social justice warriors. That was Pope Francis. Criminal justice warriors, immigration experts, where there was no separation between church and state, it seemed, under the last leadership. So the Catholic Church, I was born and raised a Catholic. I'm sure a bunch of you guys as well, has an inception point right now, in my opinion. And they can either reaffirm faith in the Catholic Church and reaffirm the values of what the Catholic Church is. And it's not same-sex marriage. It's not open borders. It's none of that which Pope Francis told us it was. It's not having transgenders in churches, doing parades. It's following the word of the Lord. That's your job. It's not to be a social justice warrior. So we wish him good luck, and we pray that he does a good job, stays out of politics, and just focuses on the Catholic Church, because it needs to be repaired. The problem with the priests, it's no secret. The molestations that takes place in the Catholic Church, the cover-ups, it's all got to be taken care of. It's all got to be hammered out, and enough is enough. And the Catholic Church has to start to rebuild themselves. Earlier today from the Oval Office, President Trump, this was just a few hours before the new Pope was elected. The new Pope was elected around 12 o'clock Eastern time. At 10:30 in the Oval Office, President Trump signing the first of many, what he says, trade deals. This one, a historic trade deal with the United Kingdom. Some key points on that deal. $5 billion opportunity for new exports for our U.S. farmers and ranchers and producers. Opening $700 million in ethanol exports and $250 million in other agricultural products from America, such as beef. Streamlined customs for exports. Secure supply chains for United States aerospace manufacturers. National security. 100,000 cut tariffs on UK car exports over the next year, and a trading union for steel and aluminum. Now, President Trump, because he is the art of the deal maker, not pulling that 10% tariff off of the United Kingdom. So he managed to get through a trade deal. The markets reacted very positively to it without having to pull off not even 1% of the tariff. That is why we voted for Donald Trump, I think. He is the art of the deal maker. Over on Capitol Hill today, Kash Patel was testifying before Senate committee on what their budget will be. Kash Patel got into a little bit of an interesting conversation. The only reason I want to cover this today is because we did a whole episode yesterday on Pam Bondi and the problems they're having over at the Department of Justice. Kash Patel was asked by Senator John Kennedy about the Epstein files and what the heck is taking them so long. Let's take a listen.
Person with a brain and a beating heart.
Yes, sir.
Did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When you think you'll have it done, Kash?
I think in the near future, sir.
Like before I die?
Senator, we've been working on that, and we're doing it in a way that protects victims and also doesn't put out into the ether information that is irrelevant for production of the public, such as CSAM.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Reid.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Very peculiar answer, I have to say, from Kash Patel. I'm very underwhelmed. As a friend of Kash's, I'm very underwhelmed with the dragging of the feet through this whole entire process that we've been waiting months for, folks. And you don't have to hear me talk about it because I talk about it every single day and I sound like a broken record. But I think it's something that we could all agree on. To the people who are saying, give them time, give them time. They've known for the last 4 years these documents needed to come out. They've known for the last 4 months that these documents were going to come out. So how much time are we supposed to give? Are we supposed to give them 2 years for the change of Congress when we lose the House because Republicans and RINOs can't get their act together? This is not me being pessimistic. This is me being a realist, because that's what it's going to come down to. If the Republicans do not get their act together, and it's not me saying it, you hear me talking about with Mark Mitchell all the time. By the way, next Tuesday, we're going to be joined by 2 great pollsters, Mark Mitchell and Robert Cahaley, 2 of the leading pollsters in this country. We're doing a little bit of a panel. I'm going to pit one of them against each other and see which one's better. What do you say? Any questions for them? Feel free to email us at info@loudobbs.com. Shoot me a message on Twitter, John Fawcett NY, and I'll be sure to get that to Robert and Mark in that interview. On the other side of Capitol Hill today sat Senator Chris Murphy and Kristi Noem. And Murphy, it seems, is still running this interesting playbook about Abrego Garcia, that migrant who was deported from the country, who's never coming back. But these Democrats can't seem to get off the point that this man is a gang member, he's a terrorist, and he's never coming back to America. If they only fought for Americans like they do for these illegals, America would be a hell of a place. Not that it's already not, but take a listen to Senator Murphy and Kristi Noem.
Court decision requires the administration to facilitate Kilmar Abrego Garcia's release from El Salvador. Can you describe the steps that you have taken to facilitate this release? And specifically, can you answer as to whether you have reached out to your counterpart in El Salvador to facilitate Mr. Abrego Garcia's release?
Abrego Garcia is a citizen of El Salvador and should never have been in this country and will not be coming back to this country. There is no scenario where Abrego Garcia will be in the United States again. If he were to come back, we would immediately deport him again because he is a terrorist, he's a human smuggler, and he is a wife beater.
You've read the Supreme Court decision. Does the Supreme Court decision not require you to facilitate the return of Mr. Abrego Garcia?
The Trump administration is complying with all court orders and judges' orders.
Does the Supreme Court order require you to facilitate the return of Mr. Abrego Garcia?
Is a citizen of El Salvador. It is up to the president of the El Salvador to make the decision.
You're a defendant
on
in
if
the
he
case.
is coming back. It's been a big topic of conversation between all of us, between the country. When the president visited the United States of America, it was discussed and talked about there. The president has been very clear on this issue. issue, as the Secretary of State and I have as well. Abrego Garcia is not a citizen of this country and is a dangerous individual who does not belong here.
I will not ask another question, Madam Chair.
Back in this country, we would immediately.
But the discussion ends when the Supreme Court rules 9-0 that you have to facilitate his release, and the fact that you can't even acknowledge.
Bring me that illegal immigrant. Bring me home that migrant. I shouldn't even say home because this is not his home. It was his temporary home. I mean, it feels like we're living in an alternate reality, folks. This is unbelievable to me. I've never heard Chris Murphy say a word about Laken Riley or any of the other people who have been brutally murdered or killed or raped by illegal immigrants. But he's got no problem wanting to bring in this guy from El Salvador who's not a U.S. citizen. There's no due process. You're not a citizen of this country. You came here illegally. You're gone. See you later, buddy, and never be seen again. I mean, it's unbelievable that we still have to have this conversation every day from these senators who hate America. I'm not mincing my words. Make no mistake, these people hate America. Anyone who would put this guy to assimilate himself back into society around your kids, around your wife, hates this country. Make no mistake about it. There's nothing hyperbolic about it. Absolute disgrace. Now, there's another disgrace. There's a few. We're going to talk about them with our guest in just a moment here. Bernie Sanders. Flying around the country on private jets, hundreds of thousands of dollars. This man claims to be a socialist, cares about the people, a man of the people, yet he's spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on private jets. And he says, don't ask a question about it. He's entitled to it.
You know, Alyssa Slotkin, senator from Michigan, she said you shouldn't be using oligarch. It's over people's head. You've gotten criticized from other people. Free Beacon says Bernie Sanders spent $221,000 on private jets fighting the oligarchy tour, paid for by friends of Bernie Sanders. That you've spent millions of dollars in campaign funds on private jet travel over the years. How do you push back on both of those things?
When's the last time you saw Donald Trump during a campaign mode at National Airport?
No, it doesn't. But he's also not fighting the oligarchy.
No. You run a campaign and you do 3 or 4 or 5 rallies in a week. The only way you can get around to talk to 30,000 people. Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United? Waiting, 30,000 people are waiting. That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that. That's what campaign travel is about. We've done it in the past. We're going to do it in the future.
And you think that this is hitting a mark? You think it's scratching the itch that voters want to hear from?
I think at a time when the people on top are doing phenomenally well, when seniors, working class people are struggling, people want to hear action to stand up to the people who have the wealth and the power and create an economy that works for all of us, not just the people on top.
Well, Senator Sanders, I appreciate you coming on.
Bret Baier is not a real journalist. If he was a real journalist, he would have pressed him on that private jet issue. He just let it go by the wayside because he's not. He's a Democrat. He's not a real journalist. Bernie Sanders mentioned 30 people online at an airport. I travel probably 2-3 times a month. I've never been online with 30,000 people, so I'm not sure where he got that number. But Bernie Sanders' whole life is a lie. He's a millionaire. He's an oligarch himself. You'd heard Bret Baier mention Alyssa Slotkin says, don't use the word oligarch. It goes above people's heads. That's what the Democrat people think of their voters. They think you're stupid. They think you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what words mean. You don't know anything. They take everybody for granted, and the Democratic people, the Democratic voters, they're like the sheep that follow the dog around on the farm. Truly, truly pathetic. Another Democrat who's having a little bit of a tough time today. She's actually been having a tough few weeks. New York Attorney Letitia James. The FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office in Albany have opened a formal criminal investigation examining the real estate and mortgage transactions of New York Attorney General Letitia James. It's unclear why Pam Bondi directed it and referred it to New York's Northern District, because James's crimes stem from New York down to Virginia as new as a mortgage from 2023. We brought you the whole story on the show. We actually broke it on this show with the great Roger Stone about 2 weeks ago when we were down visiting him in Florida. So Tish James doesn't exactly have smooth sailing ahead. She's being accused of everything she accused Donald Trump of, by the way. She is the perfect example of why you don't throw stones when you live in a glass house. Last night, Chief Justice John Roberts in Buffalo giving a speech. Of course, any chance he can get to go after President Trump, he takes. Take a listen.
But in our Constitution, judges and the judiciary is a co-equal branch of government, separate from the others, with the authority to interpret the Constitution as law and strike down, obviously, acts of Congress or acts of the president. And that innovation doesn't work if it's not, the judiciary is not independent. Its job is to obviously decide cases, but in the course of that, check the excesses of Congress or of the executive, and that does require a degree of independence.
What do you think of these calls for impeachment of judges based on the decisions that they've made?
Well, I've already spoken to that, and impeachment is not how you register disagreement with decisions.
That's what you're for, right? That's what you're there for.
That's what we're there for.
Right, like the judge in New York whose daughter was paid millions of dollars by Kamala Harris's campaign. That's perfectly fine. Presiding over the case on Donald Trump going to jail or not. Yeah, that's perfectly fine, right? Was there a separation of Supreme Court and the courts when Merrick Garland was ordered by Joe Biden's administration to go after President Trump, to indict him, 700 years in jail? Was there a separation then? I don't think so. The hypocrisy of it all. John Roberts says he's a Republican, but he's an absolute RINO.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
I want to bring in our guest today, folks. He goes by Leo the Lion. Leo, a good friend of mine. He is the founder of the RINO Removal Project. Leo, you and I hate RINOs just as much as probably anybody on the right side of history. Tell the audience, if you will, what you're working on right now with so much at stake in 2026.
Thanks, John, for having me on. I appreciate it. It's always good to be on with you, brother. So we're working towards the midterms, and we're working to utilize our education arm to get voter awareness and bring people updates, give them our proprietary scoring through RINO Scores, and help them understand who are RINOs. Because we talk about them, but they do a good job of hiding behind Trump. They do a good job of using his name, but then, like Tom tell us, behind the scenes, doing what they need to do to take out Ed Martin or to hurt the America First Party.
Yeah, but the crazy thing to me is they get away with it. It's a free pass. Even Donald Trump today pulling the nomination because of one guy. I would have been down on Capitol Hill in this man's office and said, "You think you're doing this? Your seat's gone in 2026." The Democrats are all united when it comes time to vote, but somehow when it comes time to make a key and crucial decision inside the Republican Party, Leo, nobody is anywhere to be found.
John, we created this movement, the RINO Removal Project, because Republicans don't fight. We don't have an opposition party. Let's face it. 90% of all elected politicians in D.C. they're the uniparty. All they care about is sustaining the machine so that they can make money, they can do all the things that's illegal, they can use our tax dollars for whatever it is that they want to use for slush funds or pork belly or whatever it is in the bills. Look at Johnson, look at Thune, look at our Republican Party. If they were truly meeting the moment of where 77 million American voters voted for a mandate, they would be doing a hell of a lot more, John. Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, these people will be doing a lot more. And I hope President Trump starts going after these people because this is his legacy. We only got 3.5 years to make this happen. Really, we only have 12 to 18 months because if we lose the midterms, what are they going to do to Trump?
Yep. Going down the list, I just pulled up here in 2026, who we have up for re-election. I'm just trying to see. Dan Sullivan in Alaska, is that right? He's one of them? A man who's nowhere ever to be found, except when it comes time to vote for something that makes a difference for the Democrats. Joni Ernst is another one, total flip-flopper on issues. Now, people are going to get mad at me, as they usually do, for calling these people out, but it's just the truth of the matter. If you don't call out the problem, you are part of the problem.
John, we have every one of those people that you've mentioned is in our top.
Oh, there's more. Hold on. Roger Marshall's a good guy. Mitch McConnell's retiring. Bill Cassidy, another one who will get a free pass down in Louisiana. The guy's a total RINO. When it came time to impeach Trump, hated Trump, didn't care. Now he's all of a sudden on his side. Steve Daines is wishy-washy. Another one, Tom Tillis, a man who needs to be held accountable for what he just did with Ed Martin. Ed Martin is a patriot, a man who stood up for Jan Sixers, a man who's went after Matthew Graves, that rogue prosecutor who overcharged people with that 15C12 charge that the Supreme Court said is unconstitutional. Went after him that. But President Trump had to pull his nomination because of Tom Tillis.
The RINOs have done a great job of creating the barrier and creating that invisible wall. They delay everything. What have they worked? 67 days out of the last 120?
Sounds right.
They're out all the time. The approval rating is what, 20-some%? At some point, American voters are going to have to realize, just like I did, just like you do, if we don't get involved at a grassroots level, if we don't start taking this back, if we don't start making them pay for their votes against their constituents, we're going to continue to do it. And so our whole project, our whole being from an entity standpoint, from an organizational standpoint, is to take out RINOs. Everyone you just mentioned is on our list.
Hold on, we've got more. Lindsey Graham, another one. Lady G, who gets a free pass. Nobody wants to talk about Lady Graham and what he does on his free time. But at this point, like, it seems like the Republic, it's like the best kept secrets. I say this all the time. It's like Diddy, right? People were going to Diddy parties, right, for the last 20 years. Nobody heard a peep about it. It was the best kept secret, but people knew what was going on. I was talking with my friend Grant Cardone on the show the other week, and he said, John, he goes, the problem is not going to the Diddy party. The problem is going to the Diddy party and then going back to the Diddy party after you realize what goes on in that place. And it's the same thing with these politicians. They get a free pass. Lindsey Graham living this whole secret life. Come out already. The stories are out about gay prostitutes and this and that. Either come out and say it's not true, which he hasn't done, or come out and own it. Be a man about it at least. But these people all live their secret lives. And when push comes to shove, the leadership backs them, and they get these free passes.
Well, John, we have a good guy. So we have Mark Lynch that's in South Carolina. And Mark is a great guy. But what he's up against is a $25 to $50 million war chest. What he's up against is an open primary. So that's a whole nother thing, is why do RINOs stay elected? Why does a Don Bacon, who voted against the Gulf of America today, the only one, why do these people stay in office? Because open primaries, because of ranked choice voting, because of all these, the RNC only investing in incumbents. Our system is upside down, and we're either going to attack it and we're going to be real about it, which is what we're doing, or we're going to sit back and just yell and scream about it on social media, which we need action. What are we complaining for? What are we clamoring for? Kash Patel, we want action. I'm sick of hearing about the Epstein files or the Trump assassinations. Have we heard anything about that, or the pipe bomber? What have we actually received? What have we actually heard from a fact standpoint?
Yeah.
Well, why? If you can answer that question, you're a smarter guy than I am.
I can't. I did a whole show yesterday. I did a 20-minute monologue yesterday on laying out Pam Bondi and laying out everything Pam Bondi's done. And I had someone comment that everything I said was a lie. And I'm like, well, what part of what I said was a lie? Tell me. It's like the Democrats and the RINOs. Oh, you're lying. You're this, you're that. Okay, tell me what I did. That's a lie. I did a 20-minute monologue yesterday laying out the timeline of Pam Bondi with the videos, with the evidence, with everything she's told us. And here we sit months later now with still nothing to show for it. How do the Republicans go to the ballot and defend that in 2026? I mean, I'm as conservative as they come. And I'm not saying this. I'm saying this not to put Republicans down. I'm saying it because it pisses me the hell off. I don't want to lose. I didn't want to go through what we just went through for the last 4 years and getting this man back in office to now 2 years later lose it all.
That's where we're headed if we don't get our butts in gear. There's great people out there. There's General Flynn's, there's Colonel Manus, there's Roger Stone. There's people out there that care. We have some strong America First people. You're one of them. You talked about our friend, Mark Mitchell, and all the people that are fighting on X to try to provide factual data and actual stuff, because Americans today aren't getting the real story because the media is nothing but a big machine for the Democrats.
Yeah.
All they want to do is twist language or twist words, sell points that aren't important. Like, why are we talking about Garcia? Why should a terrorist come back into our country so that more innocent Americans like Lincoln Riley or Rachel Morin be killed, be raped, be brutally injured? Because we want to cater to terrorists? People that are here illegally? No, that's not America First, and that's not what we're all about.
Yeah, the Republicans are not smart. If I were consulting any of these people, and I'm going to be back into consulting very shortly here, it's what I did in my pastime. I'm not getting rid of the show. I'm still keeping the show. I'm still doing the show 7 days a week, but I'm going to get back into consulting because people aren't being told the right things to do. People aren't being told. It's what I did, most of my adult life was running campaigns. People aren't being told the right things to do. People aren't being told the right points to hit to make the voters understand what's going on. Every Republican in every swing district right now should have these Democrats be running commercials because they all have more than enough money. These people have millions of dollars in their war chest. Run a few $100,000 of commercials to let the American people know that you have Democrats who are advocating to bring terrorists into America.
It's all they care about. Tell me one good thing a Democrat has stood for in the last 5 years that's actually good for America or our citizens.
Maybe renaming a post office.
Okay. But they are just absolutely worthless. They've allowed God to leave their party completely. They only care about themselves. They only care about science or gain of function or stuff that they can manipulate to control things. We have to have an America First party because, John, where are we going to be if we lose the midterms? What's going to happen to us?
Yeah.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
As far as I'm concerned, there's no such thing as a Republican Party anymore. It's America First, it's the RINOs, and that's it. And then the Democrats, you've got Democrats and then you've got Marxists, where like 90% of them are Marxists. So, but it's a 4-party system here in America anymore. There is no Republican Party. That party died with John McCain, with the Mitt Romneys of the world. It's gone. It's no longer. And these people can't seem to get through their heads, Leo, that once Trump is gone and he's not running for re-election again, okay, I wish he could, but he can't. Once Trump is gone, there's no going back to your old business as usual. The American people are awake now. They know what life is like on the other side. They know what it's like under America First. There's no way you're going to ever convince an American citizen who voted for Donald Trump that going back to the times of Mitt Romney and John McCain and the Mike Pences of the world, will ever suffice inside this Republican Party.
The time is now, and the people know it. They knew it come November 5th. They knew it after a slight turn of the head in Butler, PA, saved the president's life. They knew it against all the illegal lawfare that was thrown at them. They knew they were fighting for something bigger. And I do believe God intervened that day. But now it's our turn. We have free will. It's our turn to turn the tables. It's our turn to go after RINOs. I'm a disabled vet. We have 50 people that have volunteered plus to join this movement. All because they want to support and make sure that we establish America first. And that to me tells me there's a lot of patriots out there. There's a lot of people that care. You go visit our website, go look at all the great things that we're doing. Look at how we're vetting candidates. We're making sure they're America First. Go look at our education, the America First Academy. Look at RINO Scores, our proprietary scoring system. We've put all this in place because, John, we want to educate the voters. We want to tell people. We knew Tom Tillis was a RINO. We knew Mark Wayne Mullen was a RINO. We've been calling him that for a year. But because they do their drama and their acting,
right,
they fake everybody out, but they're not really.
Mark Wayne's perhaps one of the biggest ones who's got everyone fooled. I've known forever. That guy's Susan Collins, another one. They have these people fooled. You know why? Because what will happen, Leo, is a big vote will come up for something. And this is what happened with, I believe it was Susan Collins during Brett Kavanaugh. RINO, the prior 6 years, the vote for Kavanaugh comes up. It turns out she's going to be the deciding vote. She takes this massive vote, which shouldn't have been a massive vote, votes for Brett Kavanaugh, which now looks like it was a mistake. It would have probably been better off if she voted against him. But she makes this big vote, and everyone seems to forget. Mark Wayne Mullen, for 5 years, the guy wants to be a big RINO. Now for the last year, he wants to go on social media, put out these cute videos and this and that. Dude, everyone knows you're a damn RINO. I know we're tight on time. I know you don't have much time. Before we wrap, I want to get your sense. What are you guys going to do now looking forward to 2026, our next big elections? In my opinion, grassroots is really where it's at, where you have to get the voters grassroots. What do you guys have lined up for that?
So we've already got 7 states that we're in now as state chapters, where you mentioned a lot of the people. We're going to be in West Virginia. We're going to be in Iowa. We're already in South Carolina, Texas, Ohio, you name it, we're going to be there. We are going to be doing events, rallies, and we're going to be using our education on. We have over 19 million people now indirectly on our X network. We've grown our other social media. We're now into YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, you name it. And we're trying to get the word out on great shows like yours. The big thing we're doing now is we're also communicating with America First PACs and other organizations, because we want to flip the switch and we want to go into full operation mode. And that's what we're doing right now. We want to be prepared. You got the Ken Paxtons out there. You got Derek Evans. You have Mark Lynch. There's some great people out there. We just have to make sure the voters understand it. And more importantly, they have to get out in the midterms and vote. They have to show up.
Yeah. You got to also, too, this is something I've learned over my years of working campaigns and running campaigns. You've got to find somebody who can win. Now, there'll be candidates who have a perfect track record. They're excellent. They're just, total milquetoast. There's no way they could ever win election. That's a problem, too, that Donald Trump has run into is, give me the sexiest candidate, for lack of a better word. And I don't mean physically. I mean, someone who could win a race, someone who's charismatic, someone who's energetic, someone who's got the good track record, who has it all, because we can't waste our time putting forward people, Leo, in my opinion, who have no chance of winning. And, it sucks to say that. It really does. And it's not a money thing either, because there's people, you see Eric Cantor got taken out as the 3rd most powerful man in Washington, D.C. by nobody. So it's not about the money necessarily. It is when you're up against a war machine, but we got to get candidates who can win these races.
Primary challengers is paramount. And the RINO removal project, everything we do is predicated on primary. Because if we don't win the primary, then we're left with voting for either a Democrat or a RINO. So we have to attack now. We have to work now. We have to be aggressive on pursuing what you're talking about, electable primary challengers. And we have to start doing other things behind the scenes. We have to close primaries. There's a lot of open primaries. There's ranked choice voting. How's Murkowski and Collins stayed in office?
Murkowski got saved with ranked choice voting up in Alaska.
That's exactly right. So you can't just attack the problem on one head. You have to look at all the multiple reasons why and all the factors why these people stay in office. It's because the system, John, is set up for the establishment right now. That's how they created it.
And they never want to change it. Leo, where can people go? I have all your stuff, but I want you to give the audience where they can go, your Twitter, website, everything.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it. Go to RINOremovalproject.org. That's our website. And go look at all of the pages and tabs we've created. I promise you guys will be pleased. We're putting together one hell of a rhino removal bolus of information. And we have all these different pages and all these different business arms that we're creating. We're going to go after state surveillance, precision pathways, but most importantly, follow us on X, follow us on Instagram, on TikTok, Rhino Removal. On X, it's Rhino_removal. You can follow me at Leo the Lion 1964. But the big thing is go check out the website, RINOremovalproject.org, and look at all the content. Look at our vetting questionnaire. Look at what we're doing to make sure that any primary challenger that we're going to stand behind at some point is going to be America first.
Yeah. And folks, Leo's not becoming a millionaire off this operation. He's making more enemies than he's ever going to find out that he knew he had. If you don't have the money means to donate to the cause, folks, there's many ways to do it. Join the project, join the removal project, be part of the grassroots movement, knock doors, get on social media. I mean, there's so much you can do. Like I said, if you don't have the financial means to do it. Leo, come back soon and we'll talk soon about everything you guys are doing. And we want to be up to date and keep the audience up to date. We appreciate you joining us tonight.
John, thanks for having me on, my friend.
Anytime. Thanks, everybody, for being with us today and joining us for this episode of The Great America Show. RINOremovalproject.org, RINOremovalproject.org. You can stay up to date everything they're doing right now. And like I said, folks, not everyone's a millionaire like Nancy Pelosi and doesn't have the financial means to donate to something, but grassroots support, feet on the ground, boots on the ground, anything you can do to spread the word. That's just as good as money. Folks, we'll see you back here tomorrow for The Great America Show, where our quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. Same time, same place. Until then, may God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. Have a great night.